Hello and welcome to This Is Us in the Car. I'm Kim.
I'm Laura.
And Brookie makes 3.
Hey y'all, and we are celebrating episode 6 of season 5. It was called Birth Mother.
And I need to give a special shout out. Happy birthday to my birth mother, Miss Judy.
Woo, Miss Judy! Judy! So this was all about Laurel. And we've seen Laurel since last season, actually probably more than that. Probably way back since William, which was season 1. And so we've known this character for a really long time and got to know her a lot more this episode. And this one was really dear to me because it happened in New Orleans. I spent 4 years of New Orleans when I was a kid. And I lived in an area and then had to go down to a McDonough school and went to elementary McDonough 15 in the quarter for like 3 or 4 years. And so it was interesting to go back to New Orleans in this way. I will say, not that I have a lot of experience with New Orleans, but it seemed very interesting, the land that they had, and the fact they didn't have a New Orleans accent at all, to me, was a little off-putting. It's a very little thing, and I know that's being nitpicky, but people from New Orleans have a very distinct accent. Even the upper echelon, I think even more so the upper echelon. You know, she was a Dubois, which means something, and maybe they would have more land than a regular person, because I was a regular person and lived around other regular people. Yeah, I was not a Dubois. And I was a transplant, which is even worse. But I really loved it. You know, I was interested in Aunt May. I think a lot of us have that earthy person in the family, somebody who's maybe a little off from everybody else, but is fun, or really just supports and loves you in a different way than your parents. I think we all need Aunt May. My mother actually was that character in my family. She was the earthy, gardening, natural hair kind of mom. And so she was probably Aunt May to some of my cousins, and always cooking and just welcoming and open and warm that way. And so it was cool to see that. I'll tell you this, when young Laurel decided to go to Aunt May's, and Aunt May said she was going swimming, and Laurel got in that water, first thing I thought of, alligators. Hello, it's New Orleans. Why are you swimming in just random water? There's alligators, snakes, snapping turtles, all kinds of stuff, crawfish, all kinds of stuff in things that can bite you. And I'm like, no, thank you, I'm not swimming in that. And then I thought immediately, her hair. There is no way she's going to sneak to Aunt May's house, get in some water, have her hair look like Who Shot John, and be able to sneak back in this house. All these things came to me as soon as she said she was going swimming.
Really big.
When she came back, when she came back, I'm like, she's about to get towed up. Little black girls do not go swimming with their hair just out. And so that was kind of funny and very reminiscent. My mom always braided my hair before I went swimming, and it was never in alligator infested waters in New Orleans.
I saw that other people said that. You know, I did read one article, and some of the comments, if you read that comment, the comment thing, the first one is, that is so not, I mean, you know, like just going off about some of the things that they could tell weren't necessarily, that they found wrong, why it wouldn't have really been in New Orleans.
Right. And so I wanted it to feel more like New Orleans. Even the market didn't feel like a New Orleans market, which is odd for this show, because you normally feel like you're wherever they're saying, but you could tell this was a set and not really in an open air market type of setting. And so, like I said, this is nitpicky stuff. But I loved the relationship she had with Aunt May. I loved to see her as a child with her, and then to see her come back after she came from prison to where she could be healed. And even though, like I said, I would not be walking into that water, you know, her having that conversation about walking into it like a baptism, and just screaming and just getting all of that anger, all of that frustration, all of that sadness, just releasing it. I love the way that they told that story.
Yeah.
It was very, very tender. It was very nurturing. And so you saw that her life wasn't, I mean, we see the end of her life. We know how she died. How we thought she died. And that we really knew her as a drug addict who didn't have her child. And I don't know if we necessarily have all of those things answered through this episode. I think there are some holes in Laurel's story still. We don't really know what happened when she got to Pittsburgh. And so hopefully they'll continue that story in some flashbacks later on. But yeah, I just really liked it. There was one thing that she told, was it Laurel that said this or Aunt May that said, I let my broken heart be all that I was.
Oh my goodness.
And
That was Aunt May.
I think that was Aunt May.
Said that.
I think Aunt May said that
about when she lost her the man she loved and her child.
Yeah, when she lost her, the married man and the baby, and she said that. I thought that was such a deep statement to say, I let my broken heart be all that I was. That the worst thing that happened to me became my identity.
Yeah.
And I think we're often guilty of that, and I think she wanted to get Laurel away from that and keep her from being just the lost, just the prisoner, just the drug addict. And so that's my take on the whole New Orleans piece.
Well, and I think it showed the stories, that everybody has a story. And then even in that story, all the people have stories.
Right.
I mean, and I think sometimes we get so one-dimensional, especially in our world right now, that you're this or that, or you're this or that. You know, whether it's race, political party, whatever, you're this, that, but you're not. You're made up of all these people that have influenced your life. I mean, when you saw, I mean, you can almost see where not just, you know, the way she felt in her own home growing up, and that, and there's a whole thing for me about the women. You know, women search so hard for their worth, and that's a good point, because it's kind of like we let all these little things tell us what our worth is, and you see that in girls today and everything, and we don't have to get our worth from all these things. We're much more than just one piece of our story. Our stories,
we're greater than the sum of our parts.
Yes, yes, and I think that it helps you see, and hopefully it helps him see. I mean, I think it helps in the end, Randall kind of see all these different things. My phone's ringing, just holding that phone up there. But, so we're just going to have to, I was going to say somehow if I could like shut it down, but I don't know how. Okay, there we go. So, basically, you know, there's that way that you see that, yes, she was a drug addict here, she was this here, or she was this here, but that basically, why? Because of all these things that happened, and then she's more than just those things that happened.
Yeah, I think This Is Us tells the story of humanity and how we are all, I mean, I think everybody can look at Laurel's story and see somebody they know. You know, some part of it they know. Maybe they weren't a drug addict, but they didn't really have an identity in their family. They were the person that's kind of drifted away, or they had an Aunt May, and that was where they found their love, or they lost love, or you know, I think you can identify with people in that. This show does such a great job of showing humanity. And so This Is Us. This is the Pearsons. This is our world. This is us as humans, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys had a good perspective about Laurel, but I had a lot of focus about Randall.
Okay.
Well, yeah, a lot about him too.
And
we saw a lot of Randall.
We did. And I'm actually celebrating because I learned something. There was a term used, absinthe.
I didn't even hear what it was.
Suit it up a little.
Yeah.
So I'm celebrating by drinking some absinthe. It's typically
really
green, not orange, but this was all I had. But I am celebrating because I am so happy for Randall.
Yes.
I was looking at it from, I was really engulfed in how the story was told by High. I loved.
Yes, I did too.
I loved the character of High and how he told the story. And he gave...
And even how he got there.
Yes, yes. And I loved how he had a perspective of Randall's mother as a young woman and then an older woman.
Right.
And so he was able to, you know, give him a good perspective of his mother. So I had put, these are a couple of my comments for Randall, that he had, and I think this is why I wanted to kind of open with that. I was celebrating with my special drink for him, because what was powerful to me was he said he had his bookends. He knew his father and he knew his mother, and they weren't perfect people, but they were the imperfect people that loved him.
Yes, I love that line.
And that this was a way better story than being left on a step.
Yeah, at the firehouse. Yeah.
And so that really resonated with me.
Yeah, that was very, very heartwarming.
Yeah, so I have that, and that he felt loved. I've only been to Louisiana twice, both very hot times, but I felt like, I guess because I didn't live there, but I liked the change of scenery and being in nature. I loved the powerfulness of going into the water.
Yes, it was very powerful.
In fact, I kind of thought that could be you know, I like the idea of going, you know, when people say go jump in the lake, you know, just go jump in the lake and scream.
Yes.
Yes, make it happen. Let's see. So I had that in there. What else did I have? You guys might have to jump in.
You know, one thing that I liked about High,
I'm sorry.
When High came up, you know, so you see Laurel in the water and she's screaming, and then High's story comes up after when he's fishing and he hears this woman screaming. He tries to save her, and he says, and then I couldn't stop thinking about the woman who wasn't drowning. And I thought that was powerful, because drowning just feels like life is just being sucked out of you. You're being overwhelmed by the heaviness of life, and you're just being pulled down by this weight of this water. And she was not drowning. She was trying to live and come out from underneath all the things that had been drowning her spiritually.
I was going to say, because she was.
Right.
I mean, that's what I put up at, the woman who wasn't drowning, but yet she was up until that point.
That's right.
She was letting everything get her.
Yeah. So at the moment he met her, she was undrowning.
Yeah.
That's a new word.
Undrowning.
Put it in Webster.
Yes. So I do think there was all those different people that came in, and there was one thing, and this is, did y'all notice when they told the story and Beth was like, wow, what a life, and Randall threw her a look, and I couldn't interpret that look. I don't know if he was meaning like, what are you talking about, or if, you know, because I guess that was before they went on to tell the rest of it, or that he...
See, the thing is, they came in for two different reasons. Beth is along with her husband to support her husband, but she really just wants to see what's going on. She's invested through him, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
And so she's like me. I'm like, this is a cool story. Just keep talking.
Yeah.
And Randall pops up in the middle of it like, okay, this is a great Hallmark movie. This rivals The Notebook.
Yeah.
But I didn't come here to hear your love story with my mother. I came here to find out why she didn't try to find me.
Well, she doesn't have that. She has that thing for him and what he's going through.
Right.
But she's just hearing it like a woman does.
That's right.
And that we just get all compassionate and whatever's happening.
Yeah.
In there.
So she just got sucked up into the romance, and and probably would have been fine just listening to it as long as possible. But Randall was there on a mission. I came to hear what happened. How does this relate to me? And he wasn't getting that yet.
Well, I do think it was interesting that he pointed out at the end, here I am hearing about my black mother with the Vietnamese love man. And I thought, okay, so here he is, a black man adopted by a white family, and that's what he pulled out. You know what I'm saying? That we're all... that you're loved. I mean, I think I'm wondering if they're gonna somehow pull that, which I think you did, because he was free and he heard the story, and because he had that moment with his mom in the water at the end. But I think that it kind of maybe opens your eyes to there's different. What am I thinking? What am I trying to say? Different types of relationships,
right? And you can
like
find loves in places that are unexpected.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You can find love in places that are truly unexpected. I think they're going to go. Well, I don't know. I'm hoping that they're going to go somewhere with this land, mean, because they said it at least 3 times about this is, you know, how it comes out. I mean, he comes out and greets them, and he's like, yeah, this is your mom's land, so it's yours now. You know, now that's not how real estate works. You don't just hand somebody the keys and now they own it. But I mean, and then at the end he talks about this is our land, and he calls Kevin. He's like, I was at my mom's house in New Orleans, so maybe it becomes another vacation house.
Or Kevin, like the Pearson cabin,
right?
You've got now.
Another place. Yeah. And so now it becomes another family gathering place, which I think the girls would love. I think they'd be really cool. Feel like it was really nice to have some other place. But yeah, so I think they talked about the land being Randall's, the home being Randall's, the keys being turned over to him. I think all that was symbolic, and that it's maybe setting the stage for somewhere else that they're going with this particular thing. I was kind of thinking
that.
Yeah.
And that they may be able, I feel like the character of High was already really presented in a deep way that we may want to, learn more about him.
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely. And yeah, what he says that we own a farmhouse by a lake in New Orleans, Louisiana. That my mother grew up on. We own this now.
I wanted to kind of piggyback on when you guys were talking about High, being the love, or them having a relationship. And I think Randall went in there thinking of, William and his mom. That was supposed to be her first love, or real love, or true love. And then all of a sudden he was learning something very, very different about his mom.
Yeah, and even when he talked about his Uncle Jackson, he said, I learned about and lost my Uncle Jackson. My uncle in 5 minutes.
Yes.
And so I can't imagine how Sterling K did this, and he had to have cried the whole time he shot this whole episode.
Well,
seriously.
I have something.
Oh, look! And the Emmy goes to
the Emmy goes to Sterling K.
Absolutely.
Yes, I was there in the water with him.
Yeah.
Yes. Talking with his mama.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about the fact that I think that he did say it was almost like a spiritual experience. That's what he saw it as. It wasn't just some hokey pokey dream or whatever. And I believe that you can have those moments. You can have those moments that are real, that God gives us to give us that peace and
connectivity.
Yes. And so I thought it was portrayed so well, because I didn't feel like I was watching a dream sequence. I felt like I was watching a true experience where he got to really feel. And I thought, we talk about, because he got to hear his mom say that she loved him, but he got to say it back.
Right.
That he got to say it back.
That's like super goosies. That was so heartwarming and heart-wrenching. The thing is, he went there not knowing his mother, not knowing how he belonged in her story. And I think when he left, he belonged there. And I think that's why he was so excited. We own this. This is now a part of my story.
Right.
This is where I belong now. And so much of family is about belonging. You can have people that are related to you, but you don't feel like you belong with each other. And I think he was finding where he belonged, not just with the Pearsons, but with William's story and with Laurel's Dubois. Now he knows he's a Dubois, and all that means. And so his grandparents may have family there. There may be lineage there. I'm sure there's probably other cousins that are there from that lineage. That he can explore so many different ways that they can go with the storyline, and it opens him up to discover even more. And we live in this culture now where ancestry is such a big deal. Everybody's on ancestry.com, and you're trying to figure out your roots. Even if you have great, strong understanding of yourself, everybody's still digging a little bit deeper. And so we got to kind of live vicariously through them as they did this.
Well, and we closed his story. Like last week, you kind of, Kate got closure. Randall got closure. So
now we have Kevin. Yeah. Now I will say this.
I called it. Just want you to know.
And she called it.
I called it. Did I not say?
You have to look at it
If
last
Kevin
week's.
goes to Canada, he's going to get stuck up there and miss the birth, and there's going to be a big issue. Something's going to happen like that.
Something's going to happen, and she's going to, yeah, you said it, darling. Okay. But I do need them to circle back around and show me how Laurel became a drug addict.
Me too.
That I just still don't understand how she got from where she is in New Orleans, leaving high, going to Pittsburgh, and then she ends up in prison for drug possession and without her child. I think there's a huge gap in her story.
Well, and I think that would be interesting for Randall to find out, especially since he's now a politician, to find out about, I mean, the whole system. I mean, especially what's going on in our country and the whole systemic racism and things like that that are out there, or I won't say things like that, that is out there, that, you know, what can he do in his position that he is now to figure out why all that happened? You know, you can see him going after that because he does that. I mean, he's the champion, so so it'll be interesting to see if they bring that up and do all that.
Yes, but the whole time I was sitting there watching this episode, well, not the whole time, but towards the end, I'm like, okay, so where's the surprise? Where's the cliffhanger? Where's the, I didn't see that coming. And then boom. Let's call Kevin, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, he's gonna call his brother.
He called Kevin, not Kate, not Rebecca, who we haven't seen in a while. Y'all need to come on back to Mama too. And so he calls Kevin. He's so excited. Him and Beth are so excited driving back from New Orleans. And then Kevin just explodes with, you know, he's stuck in Vancouver. I knew I shouldn't have gone. And we see flashes of him in an accident. And Madison's in labor with the twins.
But at least we know he lives because we saw him old.
Yeah, we know he's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
Sexy Kevin is saying. Oh, okay, so let's talk sexy. First, Young High.
Woo! 10-finger woo.
Young High looking
He was
high.
buff. He was buff.
I think now it is a requirement if you come on as a love interest, as a male on the show, you take your shirt off.
Yeah.
You just have to, just be ready to just take the shirt off. Yeah, Mark is not, no, Mark did not. He's not a love interest. He's a hate interest. We don't like him at all.
Right.
And I mean, but so all of the guys that we love have already shown their fronts. And then we got to see Randall's backside in the dark.
9 o'clock television in the U.S. I'm like, whoa.
And it was shadowed and, you know, in the dark New Orleans sky. And
Emmy worthy.
he had an Emmy worthy booty. Yes.
Well, and there were a lot of people
fan
in this too, because, and I wish I didn't ever look it up since we talked and now, but the dad was he was a cop and maybe in Hawaii. He's been in a bunch of stuff. The dad, May, I believe she was in ER. Somebody can look that up and correct me. I'll do it tonight maybe. But she's been in a lot of different shows. And I think, although we only got a glimpse of Marshall, I think the guy that they were going to make her marry, he kind of, when I glanced, just a quick glance, to me he looked like the guy that's playing Maggie's love interest in Grey's Anatomy. So I just wondered if, I mean, you know, it seems like they brought in all these people. They always bring in good people.
Yeah, they always have good.
But I saw the dad, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's in there. But then I, of course, can't remember his name because I'm so bad with names.
And we had a little bit of a difference of opinion on this. I think I was taken a little bit back by older Laurel. I appreciated the fact that she aged the way she did, but I don't know. I think because we've seen Laurel since season 1, that seeing her older and so different, I was like, that's Laurel? That's not Laurel.
She did a good job.
She was a great actress, but I just didn't feel her the same way as I did Laurel.
In fact, I even made the comment, that doesn't seem like the same person. And my daughter walked in the room and said, Mom, she's older. It is a different person. And I said, but they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to.
Yeah, I almost wish they had aged her just like they do Rebecca or something. I don't know. I just felt like too big of a jump. Even High and Young High seemed more of a smooth transition than young Laurel to older Laurel. I know you had a different opinion on that.
And I kind of was taken back too. but I think it was just because of how they, you know, how they do Rebecca with aging. But I felt like she was a woman that had so much oppression in her life and sadness. You know, when you think about how her father, you know, that was such an oppressive relationship, and you know, having the drug problem, but living her whole life with the burden of not knowing where her baby was and her son. And so I kind of felt like the way that she aged was symbolism of that she was a woman that she didn't get to become the woman she was supposed to be.
Yeah.
That was kind of my thought on that.
She didn't get to live the life she wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
And on a side note too, when she came back and she was talking to Aunt May, and Aunt May looked and went, "Ain't you tired?" Anybody think of the help?
Yeah. Yeah. I
You know, like at the end
yes,
when
I
she's
did.
looking
She,
at,
yes, she did. I love
when
that.
she's
yeah.
looking at the lady and she's going, "Ain't you tired?"
Aren't you tired of just being this ugly?
Yeah, yeah. But you know, so I thought it was interesting. Like that, I heard it in my head.
As soon as she said, I heard that too. I forgot about that line.
Yep. Yep.
Well, this was a very, very good episode. It was heartwarming. A lot of tears, not just from Randall. I'm just like boo-hooing, and it very heartfelt. There's a lot happening, obviously, next week with Kevin and Madison. I'm hoping that he gets some help to deal with all of this. But we will see you again next week where This Is Us in a Car. Bye, toodles. Laissez le bon temps rouler.